When Shi'en's Ma just looked at this girl and suddenly became angry. He threw away everything and chased after the girl. The passers-by on the road were shocked by this sudden look. However, the girl had already taken the taxi and left. But Ma didn't give up. In the crowded traffic, she chased crazily. She must catch up with this girl because the girl is the most important person to her. The girl's name is Shi'en. Her mother died in a horse racing accident. Shi'en came to his mother's grave alone and said he missed her. But because he couldn't stand this extreme coldness, he passed out in the snow. Fortunately, the general on the horse saved Shi'en. From then on, no matter where Shi'en went, the general would follow him. Shi'en is very naughty and always likes to hide. Looking at the general's anxious look, Shi'en smiled happily. Sometimes Shi'en would make a beautiful flower ring for the general. But the general always ate it without understanding the situation. The general gave Shi'en love like a mother. When the sun was bright, the general would take Shi'en for a walk in the wild. When the wind and rain came, the general would cover the rain for Shi'en. Time still turned a blind eye to the fact that Shi'en had grown up, and the general was about to give birth to a child. This evening, the sky was bright. The general was in a difficult situation and his life was in danger. Shi'en's father was desperate and decided to use manpower to pull the little horse out. The general was in great pain and was constantly in pain. Shi'en could not bear the pain of the general and tried to stop him. But his father still insisted. Finally, the little horse was born. But the general left Shi'en forever. Without the guidance of the mother horse, the little horse was destined to never stand. As a race horse, he also announced his resignation. His father decided to execute the little horse and die in peace. But Shi'en said nothing this time. The following days, Shi'en accompanied the little horse every day and fed the little horse himself. He hoped that the little horse could stand up soon. But the little horse didn't get up at all. Shi'en couldn't help but grumble. Maybe he understood Shi'en's complaints. The little horse struggled to stand up. Looking at the little horse running happily on the grass, Shi'en had an indescribable joy in his heart. This miraculous scene completely shocked Shi'en's uncle. But his father couldn't help but be happy. It turned out that Shi'en had decided to inherit his mother's will and become a professional rider. Shi'en put all his dreams on this horse. He gave the horse a very domineering name, Lei Ming. And Lei Ming is just like his mother. He especially likes to eat this square candy. On the way home from school, Shi'en seemed to see the scene of him and Lei Ming racing together in the future. He vowed to win the championship for his mother's horse race. But his father poured a basin of cold water for him. His father didn't want Shi'en to reenact his mother's tragedy. Shi'en was proud to say that he had sold Lei Ming to make a contribution to Shi'en's university. For Shi'en, Lei Ming is like his family. He would never allow Lei Ming to leave him. But it was a pity that Lei Ming's will had left the harbor. Shi'en broke up with his father because of this. He left home and joined a horse racing club. But as a girl, he was always discriminated against by the coach. It was clearly the fault of his teammates. But he was always the one who was punished. His teammates all went to the race. But he could only clean the stable. Shi'en was getting farther and farther away from his dream. Every time he felt desperate, he would take out his favorite square candy. He missed Lei Ming while encouraging himself. On this day, Shi'en finally got a chance to go on the stage. But the coach asked him to hit the opponent on purpose on the stage to give his team a chance to win. Shi'en was under a lot of pressure and could only agree. But because of his one collision, his opponent almost fell off the horse. Shi'en decided not to help him anymore. In the end, he gave the victory to his opponent. The coach fired him directly. Shi'en didn't understand why these people only had the word victory in their eyes. This night, Shi'en was drunk. His teammates could only carry him home. They passed by the boss of a horse racing club. The boss's horse saw this familiar back. He froze for a moment and seemed to think of something. When he saw Shi'en's face, all the memories of horse riding were awakened. And he was Lei Ming who was sold that year. Lei Ming tried his best to get rid of the boss on his body. Despite everything, he chased after Shi'en. But in the end, he was stopped by a ferocious crowd. Looking at the taxi going away gradually, Lei Ming's eyes were full of tears. When he returned to the horse racing club, he met Lei Ming in a fight. In order to give him a lesson, the boss burned the hot iron madly. Then he used Lei Ming's favorite square candy as bait and hard-pressed the hot iron on him. Lei Ming shouted an extremely violent roar at the same time. But for that girl, he didn't regret his action today. The next day, Shi'en got on the bus and was about to leave the city. And at that time, a large horse by the road attracted his attention. Shi'en was very excited. because he recognized at a glance that he was his favorite Lei Ming. Shi'en rushed out of the car and chased after Lei Ming crazily, just like how Lei Ming chased after him yesterday. At this time, in Shi'en's mind, it was all a good time with Lei Ming. After 2 years, they finally met again. Shi'en spent all his savings to buy Lei Ming from the boss and brought Lei Ming back to his home pasture. And since his father sold Lei Ming, he finally recognized his mistake. In order to make up for his mistake, he personally made a pair of new shoes for Lei Ming. Now both his daughter and Lei Ming are back safely. His father can finally let go of his grudge. From that day on, Lei Ming carried a girl on the grassland every day. This scene deeply attracted an uncle. And the uncle is also a coach of a racing club. The uncle has a sharp eye. At a glance, he can see that Lei Ming is a natural horse. He should shine in the race. So he took the initiative to invite Shi'en to join his club. For Shi'en, this is undoubtedly the best opportunity to realize his dream. So he agreed without hesitation. And the legendary story of him and Lei Ming began. In the race, Shi'en and Lei Ming can always defeat the opponent with absolute advantage. They are always undefeated. But the strange thing is that Shi'en never uses whip to hit the horse like other players. The uncle asked Shi'en why very confusedly. Lei Ming led Shi'en to win one game after another. Finally, he attracted the attention of the former coach. In order not to let Shi'en obstruct his team to win the championship, the coach bought Shi'en's friend. He let him run into Shi'en on purpose in the race. It's better to let him fall off the horse directly and never race again. The race is about to end. Shi'en was dragged into a dilemma by his opponent. And this person is the ace player of Black Heart coach. At this time, Shi'en's friend grabbed this great opportunity. The shout rushed up. But he didn't run into Shi'en. Instead, he helped Shi'en get rid of his opponent. But he fell off the horse. It turns out that Shi'en used to take special care of him. At the last moment, his teammates thought of Shi'en's kindness to him. That's why he decided to retreat. But he lost his life because of it. Shi'en was completely desperate at this moment. He didn't understand why these people could trample on other people's lives so recklessly. Shi'en swore to win the championship this time, in order to realize his dream, and to help his friend. In the next game, Shi'en completely lost his mind. In order to make Lei Ming run faster, he used whip to hit Lei Ming for the first time. But the more so, Lei Ming ran slower. Shi'en was in an endless vicious cycle. Uncle also found out that Shi'en's condition was not good. Even Lei Ming had deep scars on his body. Uncle could only cancel Shi'en's qualification for the game. Shi'en was furious for this. He was angry at Uncle why he didn't let him play. If he went to the game, he would definitely win. Uncle was heartbroken. What's the difference between Shi'en and those bad guys now? At this moment, Shi'en finally came to his senses. At night, Shi'en came to the stable alone and apologized to Lei Ming. He regretted the harm he did to Lei Ming. Shi'en took out his favorite sugar, and Lei Ming still ate it as usual. In order to welcome the upcoming final, Lei Ming and Shi'en both started to train crazily. But when Uncle fed Lei Ming with grass feed, he found that Lei Ming had a lot of nosebleeds. They hurriedly sent Lei Ming to the hospital for checkup. As a result, Lei Ming had a serious lung disease. He had to have an operation immediately. Otherwise, his life would be hard to save. And even if he was cured, there was a possibility that he would not play in the game in the future. But Shi'en still gave up the game. He gave up his dream and decided to have an operation for Lei Ming. But on the day of the operation, he couldn't find Lei Ming. In the end, Lei Ming was found on the field. But no matter how Shi'en persuaded him, Lei Ming didn't move. Even when Shi'en was getting closer, Lei Ming backed off. At this moment, Shi'en finally understood that Lei Ming didn't want him to leave any regrets. He wanted to fight for him until the last moment. Shi'en couldn't resist Lei Ming and took him to the final. But at this moment, Shi'en no longer had a desire for victory. Some of them were just worried about Lei Ming's health. Shi'en held his body and sang a song next to Lei Ming's ear. And Lei Ming's nosebleeds fell to the ground drop by drop. In this way, Lei Ming carried the dream of Shi'en and surpassed the game over and over again. Just when they were about to win, Lei Ming's body was no longer working. His speed also began to slow down. The boiling nosebleed even reddened Shi'en's face. At this moment, Shi'en wanted to give up so much. But for some reason, Lei Ming suddenly showed endless strength. He dared to surpass all the race horses at the last moment. He won the game. But just after Lei Ming passed the finish line, he fell to the ground. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't get up again. Shi'en hugged Lei Ming and begged for help. Shi'en shivered and took out Lei Ming's favorite lollipop. But Lei Ming had no strength to eat it. Lei Ming used his life to help Shi'en fulfill his dream. At this moment, he had no regrets. Although Lei Ming had left, in his dream, someone was always with him and fed him his favorite lollipop.